Let's start with what's happening at the FBI. What do you think?
Well, first of all, what we're seeing from Donald Trump is an attempt to entirely reshape anything we thought we knew about democracy and how it works. And for as much as we are paying attention to what we're looking at retroactively about January 6th, my biggest concern is moving forward. If you are a prosecutor or you're someone who's thinking about this office and you're looking at what it means to investigate and do your job as an independent agent of the court, when you're an attorney, you're an agent of the court. What do you think is going through their minds if it is something that relates to potential illegality coming from the executive branch? Are you going to give as much attention, as many resources, as much effort as you would in prosecuting that case, understanding that it could potentially mean the end of your career as you would if you were operating and had the space to do your job as an independent arbiter of justice? Those two things should be deeply concerning. So while everyone is looking at January 6th and what's already happened, what we should be concerned about is going forward, how does this impact prosecutors and the job that they have to do?
We've been talking about the chilling effect on the media. How about the chilling effect on the DOJ? What do you think about this?
I mean, look, we're just talking about these sort of norms and how there's norm breaking going on. And the big norm breaker, of course, is this OMB freezing the federal government, all the grants. And that has been stopped by the courts for now, right? It's sort of paused. And that is, the good news is that there's some accountability in the courts. And so that's why what Charles is saying is even more worrying.
There's some accountability in the courts.
For now.
For now. Mm-hmm. John, first they were the January 6th pardons. Now this. What should Democrats, right? Donald Trump likes to say he's got this sweeping mandate. He doesn't.
He does not.
He won narrowly, and the control they have in Congress is the slimmest of margins. How should Democrats be approaching all of this?
Well,
I don't even want to say playing this because there's nothing to play with.
Yeah, they need to remind people that when the majority of voters vote against you in 2016, 2020, and 2024, that's a mandate. Okay? They need to stop letting the media and letting the Republican Party gaslight us all by saying that somehow 1.4% of the popular vote's a large number, only if you lie about size. There's a lot they can do, and people are still kind of, getting their bearings. I think since Election Day, a lot of folks have checked out. This is Trumpism, so it's what I call WTF fatigue. But every night on SiriusXM, I have folks call me and say, how could the Republican Party go from the party of Back the Blue to seeing cops beaten on the Capitol steps in service of a lie? Camp Auschwitz guy is pardoned. The cops who arrested him are fired now. And I think they've been totally consistent all along. It's an authoritarian movement. So when a cop is abusive to an unarmed black man, they'll always defend the authoritarian symbol. But they don't care about these police as flesh and blood men and women. Because if a bigger authoritarian comes along, and the previous authoritarian cop is now defending democracy, they'll shunt them aside and go for the bigger one. They've never cared about cops. They care about their authority symbols, and they're proving it right now. This is Joker taking over, firing Commissioner Gordon, letting all the crooks out because Gotham was tired of woke Batman.
Okay, all sorts of people who voted in November said they voted on the economy. They voted because inflation was killing them, and tomorrow the White House says they are going to implement tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. And to me, it's not so much about who's getting the tariffs imposed on them, but Donald Trump getting to wave his magic wand and decide who gets an exemption. Because that's where the real money lies. Who's going to come? Who's going to kiss the ring? What is he going to get in order to get you an exemption? What do you think? These tariffs could be crippling.
Yeah, I think you got to separate China versus our two largest trading partners, which is Mexico and
Great
Canada,
point.
right?
Yep.
And so at the end of the day, I don't know what sort of leverage he's trying to get, again, on the northern border and the southern border with, again, two of our largest trading partners. If you think about so many industries, the auto industry, the oil industry, how much stuff goes back and forth, right? How important it is for our economy. And let's just talk about the oil industry. He's pretty cozy with that, right? We have two major integrated oil companies here, Exxon and Chevron. Both of those stocks, I know this is not a stock show, it's not CNBC.
It's okay.
They were down considerably this morning.
Right.
They missed numbers. They're worried about their margins in the refiners because a disproportionate portion amount of oil comes in from those two places, right? And if it costs a lot more to refine that oil, then it's going to cost a lot more at the pump here, but it's going to cost a lot more as this oil gets moved around the world. So China's kind of a different story, though, right? Because we have some legitimate reasons there to kind of put these tariffs on them. There's a whole host of stuff that gets dumped on our economy, but also other economies there. So that's something we kind of figured was going to happen. But the fact that he just starts with Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs, those are the things that I guess manufacturing here we have to be worried about, consumers have to be worried about. There's been a whole host of activity of ordering of goods and trying to get it in here before the tariffs.
That's right.
That actually could set up as a really bad situation if a
Okay.
lot of our folks end up with a lot more.
But then what do you say to those who say Trump's a negotiator, right? His Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick would say, this is how we play ball. Like, this is how, we use a little muscle.
Well, if he's going to do that, you would give more time, right, to actually negotiate. So the fact of the matter is tomorrow morning, February 1st, I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, once these tariffs get put in place, there's a whole host of uncertainty. And look, CEOs don't like uncertainty. Investors don't like uncertainty. I think that's one of the reasons why those oil stocks got hit so hard. So again, we can think about what the base case policies should be that make the most sense for our economy. And we also have a little bit of the playbook from the first administration. I just think that this time they're going to use a bit more of a scalpel than they were just kind of, using that hammer, which was really a threat back then. And now I think they really do want to implement this.
Okay, John, there are scores of Americans, sad to say, that aren't watching this news or any other news program. They don't care about politics.
That's right.
They're just trying to live their lives.
Hence the government.
These tariffs, at least in the short term, could spike prices. Donald Trump, for the first time ever today, yes, prices could go up. Do you think Americans are ready for that? Because we saw interview after interview, people on the street over the last 6 months saying prices are killing me.
The only question is how they're going to find a way to blame the high prices on trans children. That's really it for me. This is America 2025. We can't afford eggs. Let's buy Greenland. And prices will go up. And again, America was recovering.
But the average American is going to ignore that.
The average American ignores the fact that the U.S. under Joe Biden recovered from COVID better than all of our capitalist allies. We still use words like inflation instead of corporate greed. We're not calling this thing out for what it really is. There are some people who didn't raise prices. This is a choice. So they're not going to worry. The question is, what will be enough?
Prices going up was not entirely corporate greed. There's a portion of it that
there was global inflation. And people don't realize that China, that Japan, Germany, all of our allies had the same kind of inflation. America was doing better than all the G7. I don't think people will care. The real question is, how will they try to scapegoat the higher prices and how much of MAGA will buy it?
Okay, well, today, the highest ranking, non-politically appointed official at the Treasury Department resigned.
Yep.
This man has been in this position for years and years. His job was essentially to run the government checkbook. He ran the payment system, $6 trillion. It goes to pay Social Security and Medicare and tax refunds for government employees. This man was getting pressure from members of DOGE, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. Some of these people who came from Elon Musk's private businesses, they wanted access to that payment system. No one gets access to. I mean, most people in the government don't have access to it. Now, we don't know what they wanted to do with it, but this guy abruptly said, I'm out. Well, we don't know what they wanted to do. This is further evidence of Elon Musk moving deeper into control the way our government operates.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced that he's great at it, right? I mean, this is the thing.
Great, good, or an honest, but hold on, great at it for whom? For himself or for the American people? Because that's how the government's supposed to work.
That's a big question. But, he's sending out that same, very similar email, the fork in the road email, which people may have seen a similar version at X, telling people to resign. And then we're seeing people saying, no, don't resign. We're elected members of the Senate saying, don't listen to it. Look, a lot of this stuff, and then we're seeing the government actually saying some people can't resign, that letter wasn't for them. Look, you lose your credibility so quickly when you do stuff like that, and we've already seen it. And I mean, Trump came in with as good favorability as he's ever had. And, it's only been 10 days, and we're just watching them sort of squander what little mandate they had. And, Elon Musk has never polled as well as Trump. That's the other thing. Yeah. And Trump has not polled so well, but Elon has polled less well. So here is this unelected billionaire who's not all that popular taking control of the federal government. it's a recipe for disaster.
But Stephanie, I think what it speaks to on a broader scale is the brazenness of everything that we have seen from this administration in these few days. It has not been something that has been clandestine by any measure. And the fact that Elon Musk can, in this way, in this climate, decide to do this, knowing that this is going to get out. We're talking about repeatedly, I keep hearing this is the biggest transfer of wealth that we've seen literally in generations. This is it.
Okay,
This is how it looks.
I don't think brazen is the issue. Right? Lots of people think the government is sleepy and boring and old and we need some shakeup. Brazenness isn't the issue. The question is, under the hood, is what we're really seeing is that our government is privatizing.
Right. Yeah. It's become a kleptocracy. I mean, when you think about this, I mean, listen, I would not underestimate Elon Musk. I've been tracking his career for a very long time. And you think about the value that he has created. He is a chaos agent for every company, whether it be Tesla, whether it be SpaceX, whether it be Starlink, whether it be X, whether it be XAI. But he gets results. And, you know, again, I'm not a fan, okay? Like, this is not somebody that I would want to do business with or work for. But when he goes in there, I don't think he's going to be long for the world there. I think he wants to kind of leave an imprint on the government.
And the question is, who does he get results for?
Well, I mean, listen, I think it's going to be a combination of things. At the end of the day, he, you know, on his conference call, Tesla, the other night, they just reported earnings, okay? And this stock has been doubled since the... no, I didn't short it. I'm not that...
No. Their earnings were...
Oh, no, it was a disaster. This is one of the worst quarters. All right, moving on. This
No. Stay there.
Exactly right.
So I guess my point is he made a really interesting comment on that call. He basically said to analysts and investors, I go to where the problems are. So if things are working in any of his companies, he lets the people that he's empowered do that. That's a really important statement for a guy who runs, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the most important companies in our country, if not possibly the world.
Okay, then I leave our audience with this question. Elon Musk goes to where the problems are. My question is, who is he looking to solve them for?
Yes.
The government's responsibility is to keep people physically safe, socially free, and financially secure. Is that what Elon Musk is looking to do?